El Paso means the pass. These are the foothills of the Rocky Mountains where we live. The beautiful mountains and the sunsets. And there's a little valley that goes through with the Rio Grande flowing through it. And on the other side is Mexico, and that's where the mountains start up again. Sierra Madres. And this pass has been here for many, many, many centuries.
People who live here don't realize what an unusual place El Paso is. There's no other place that I know of in the world where a border city, there are two such large border cities together.
El Paso, Texas is sort of like the Ellis Island in New York City to the United States from people coming from Mexico. El Paso, Texas, in particular this community here, the Segundo Barrio, this is the first stopping place for people coming from Mexico into the United States.
Living in El Paso or living on the U.S.-Mexico border is you have two cultures and two languages living side by side, and it really, more and more we live here, you realize that there is no border.
Mexican Americans that are in El Paso came here as refugees trying to escape the war in Mexico during the Mexican Revolution. My great aunt, she escaped from one of the federal officers with the help of another sister that was an Adelita, which were the women fighters in the revolution. The role of El Paso and Juarez in the Mexican Revolution was huge. El Paso and the Segundo Barrio were the gathering place for intellectuals, for writers, for revolutionaries, for exiles, for people that wanted to change Mexico. And you could say that El Paso helped spark the revolution. And Juarez had the most important battles of the entire Mexican nation going on. Francisco Madero, he's the provisional president of Mexico. He's the guy that recruits people like Pancho Villa and Pascual Orozco as his main generals and his main revolutionaries, going to go and revolt against the government of Porfirio Diaz. Porfirio Diaz is the dictator of Mexico. He's in power for more than 35 years. And what he basically is doing is selling out the country of Mexico to the rich corporations in the United States and France and Europe. And what he does is he goes in and conquers the communities, takes the survivors on a train down to Yucatan, which is thousands of miles in the south of Mexico, and sells them as slaves. And he did wonders for the rich. But the rest of Mexico lived in utter poverty. 90% of El Paso was pro-revolutionary. In fact, when the Mexican Revolution starts, everybody crowds to the river. You see these scenes of hundreds of El Pasoans cheering the revolutionaries right in front of a Zarco. And they were showing their support. Some of them would throw coins to them. And the main revolutionary headquarters, they call it La Casita Blanca, was right in front of a Zarco where monument number 1 is now. And that's where Madero and scores of his people that would later become presidents of Mexico. And you see this one very famous picture that you have, the who's who of the Mexican Revolution. And all these guys at one point or another had their headquarters in El Paso. And the revolution has a tremendous effect on the cultural life in the city. The El Pasoans went to the rooftops of some of the larger buildings, and they would pay from 25 cents to $1 to watch the revolution live. And they would give you a bench at the top of the El Paso del Norte Hotel. When there was something that the El Paso spectators liked, they would cheer. It was a macabre sight in a way, because people thought that the revolution was just another show, another circus, but it was very real. And actually 10 El Pasoans lose their life because they get too close to the action. 3 days later, after that battle ends, and Pancho Villa and Madero win, and the whole government of Mexico topples. because of what happened here in El Paso and Juarez.